think it will result in the firing of a lot of people. I'm already hearing from companies that we own that they're going to be laying off people who made redundant by, I guess, the advent of some of the applications, the new AI applications.
Dan Tapiero's fund invests in digital asset companies like blockchain, crypto, and Web3 businesses. These cutting-edge companies generate significant revenue. He's warned of a possible 20% reduction in their workforce. JP Morgan's study credits the AI boom for adding $1 trillion to NASDAQ's market value through cost savings and increased profits. Tapiero sees AI gradually causing deflationary effects in the economy.
Is the impact of AI, and you're saying that is going to be another deflationary impact on the economy as well, or not in the economy, but at least on prices going forward.
No, I think on the economy also, because I think it will result in the firing of a lot of people. And I'm not an expert on this, but I'm already hearing from companies that we own that they're going to be laying off people who who made redundant by, I guess, the advent of some of the applications, the new AI applications. So I think it's already happening. It just hasn't hit yet.
Well, I was just going to say, so you have an insider's view here, because companies you're invested in, it sounds like, are already making staffing decisions based on this. So how quickly do you think the economy is going to start feeling the impact of AI? Because right now it's just been headlines for folks.
It won't be quick. I mean, my funds, one Roundtable Partners and 10T Holdings, we manage, I've made 26 investments in companies that are in broadly what I call the digital asset ecosystem. We're the only growth equity fund active in the world that invests exclusively in blockchain and crypto Web3 businesses. And so we're sort of, these companies are really more at the cutting edge, but they're more, this is not venture. These are companies generally that have a valuation, I would say over $400 or $500 million, have $40 to $50 million in revenue. These aren't sort of
pretty big companies.
Yeah, this isn't pie in the sky sort of venture businesses. Many of them have, 50, 100 or hundreds of people, hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. And, in some cases, I think you could see, 20% reduction in the workforce of some of these companies. Now, I think the old line companies will take longer to get there. So I just think there's a deflationary overtone, let's just say. Meaning I don't think it happens all at once. It's just going to happen gradually. JP Morgan just put out a study last week that said they think that $1 trillion of market value that we've put on this year in the NASDAQ is a direct result of the AI boom. And that's so I'm not an expert. I'm just assuming, in a way, JP Morgan is intelligent about their analysis. And I was just pretty shocked at that. It's a big number.
And so sorry, but they're basically crediting the sector, the market has credited the sector with $1 trillion in incremental market value because of presumably both cost savings and higher profits.
Correct, 100%. That's it. Yeah. You should try to get that piece. I think it's really worth reading. Again, it's speculative, but it makes sense to me. It's a massively positive force out there. And of course, look, I come from the old macro world. You mentioned I worked at, Tiger and SAC and Duquesne with Druckenmiller and in my early days, Michael Steinhardt. Yes, that was my old world for 20 years. I was a portfolio manager, trading the cycles, managing the liquidity cycles driven by the Fed, interpreting nuance in Fed language and all of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Currencies, bonds, commodities.
Which now AI will do for us, but yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's a very, for me, it's sort of, that's the old world. And there's a whole new world growing up that I think, I don't want to say supplants that, but I think, is going to have a major impact in the way, authorities manage economies and how liquidity is transmitted. how stores of value are calculated. I mean, we can go on and on about this.
Well, we're going to, because this,
okay.
I presume, is why you have founded this digital assets
Yes.
fund and whatnot, and we're working our way there. I want
Okay.
to close the old economy discussion before
That's
we
okay.
start that one. So because you talked about the sort of the threat to employment that AI poses right now, if I heard you correctly, you think that's something that's going to play out over the next coming years. Yeah.
But I think it's starting to play out now. But you know, one thing I'll let you answer your question in a second.
Yeah, okay.
The one thing that is shocking about this whole cycle is that the Fed basically lost faith in their ability to manage the cycle. Because as you said, Lacey Hunt just said it was just a matter of waiting now. That was the case 6 months ago. They didn't need to raise the rate to 5%. They didn't need to blow up the entire banking system. They're putting out of work a huge number of people. Okay, the US has 4,000 banks. Every other developed world in the country has between 50 and 100. So we'll have some banks going under. That's not great. But I don't know, if we have 3,000 banks go under, that's really bad, especially if it's going to happen all at once. So I'm not really sure. To me, this is, I don't want to say incompetence, but this is, at least for me, the worst Fed that I've seen in terms of their skill in being able to manage the cycle, the confidence they have in making policy. There's no chance that Greenspan would have pulled any of this. And again, he was sort of the first central banker that I really followed very close in my career. And these guys, I mean, it really, it does feel like their views are divorced from the action in the market. The markets told them a long time ago, stop, right? An inverted yield curve greater than 1980, stop. Leading indicators that we all see that are worse than 08 in some cases, stop. But they lost faith in their ability to manage the cycle. And so they've overdone it here. And now they're killing the interest rate sectors of the economy more than I think they want to. And it hasn't kicked in yet.
Would you consider this, they've got some sort of objective here that they're following that just may be misguided, or are you just trying not to use the words clown show? Well,
look, these are very accomplished people in their respective areas. They're not there, but look, they're academic. I don't see any market players or market savvy people on the Fed board. I get it. They have 300 or 400 people. They have an open markets group. I understand they're sensitive to that, but to some degree, but it really does feel to me like they lost confidence in themselves. Because normally any proper, group of central bank leaders, let's just say, would say, we've done what we needed to do. We're going to give it some time because we know that policy works with the lag and we've done a lot already.